Joining me now, I've got my legal dream team. Criminal defense attorney John Manuelian is with us. We've also got in L.A. Tanya Acker, and joining the panel, HLN contributor and political science professor Jason Johnson. Do you think it's her own words that become the best evidence, or her own worst enemy? You know, after Hemi Newman's trial, John, we were all scratching our heads about the way she testified and what it meant. But when you get to trial, you're going to need real evidence, because the defense has a place to point the finger. Yeah, the guy who pulled the trigger, the guy who's in prison right now.
Right, but they're going to actually show that she manipulated Hemi Newman, and they could do that by showing the cell phone records. That's easily something that could be verified. They could subpoena those records and show that she actually lied during the Newman trial when she said she didn't speak to him, because there's evidence that said that she did actually speak to him. The subpoena of the records, the phone records, will show what time she called, when she called, the duration of the call, and so forth. And that's going to be an inconsistent statement, which is going to actually help the prosecution in that case.
Andrea says she was only told her husband had been in an accident. She testified that when she went to the preschool, no one would tell her what happened. She says she didn't know her husband had been shot until she arrived at the hospital. Is this, John Manuelian, the smoking gun in this case?
No, I don't think so. I think that she could have been embarrassed that her husband had died, and perhaps she had an affair, and perhaps she was concealing it. That alone isn't enough.
But how does she know he's shot? Okay, before she testified, she didn't find out he was shot until she got to the hospital. Yet 9:30 in the morning, before she even got to the scene or the hospital, she's telling her father-in-law Rusty got shot.
Well, obviously, that's going to be problematic, and the defense is going to have to explain that.
Stand your ground. You know, to me, it's not so much the concept; it's the way it's been interpreted. And this is what criminal defense attorneys do, John. You're one of them, right? You take a law that's meant to do this, and you guys make it apply to this. That's the reality of what happens in courts. So maybe if you can't repeal it, you've got to do something to kind of clarify it and say it doesn't apply if you are pursuing someone anywhere.
That's true. But let me ask you a question. Do you think that that would have changed the outcome in the Zimmerman case if there was no standard ground? Because they didn't use it.
They didn't use it. I know. It doesn't change. So it doesn't change that case. And we're talking about just in general, and people have lumped it all together, and I think people are losing sight that stand your ground had nothing to do with the George Zimmerman case. It may have something to do with the George Zimmerman civil case, but not the criminal case. So what can we do? What can we do to make this law, John, do what everyone intended initially, which is we're somewhere outside of our homes, right? We're on the street, someone comes up and jumps us, and now we use deadly force to stop that person. How can the legislature or anyone carve out a law or put language that makes it simple, straightforward, and logical, and not completely warped?
Well, based on how you're describing, they'd have to do away with standard law and just use self-defense in those situations. But I could tell you that stand your ground is a case-by-case basis. If you're provoking the situation, that could be shown in a trial. In the Zimmerman case, the stand your ground, as you said, didn't play any part of it. Self-defense did. I don't think that would have had any difference whatsoever if stand your ground was involved. Even if you take away stand your ground, you still have the right to defend yourself. You still have the right not to run if you fear for your life, and you have a right to defend yourself with deadly force if deadly force is used against you.
But the cover of the Rolling Stone, I mean, that's a prestigious place to be put. Do you think it's going a little too far, John? I think it's glamorizing and almost saying, wow, look at this. He did this, and he gets the cover of the Rolling Stone.
Well, I think it's brilliant from an advertising point of view. Look, you and I are talking about it right now. Everybody's talking about it. And if you remember, a few years ago, they made Osama bin Laden the Man of the Year on Time magazine, not because they were trying to be controversial, but to make a point. And I think that's what Rolling Stone is trying to make a point, and I think Tanya's right. They're trying to show you that, hey, this is a regular guy. It could be your neighbor. Think twice about who the terrorists are. And I think it's trying to bring awareness to the American community at large, not so much trying to insult us, but trying to educate us.